What is up, Overwatch community? My name is TRYPPS, and welcome back to another episode of Watchpoint. Today on the show, we got a couple of things to talk about, including the patch notes, some huge in the patch notes, not as far as balance changes goes. But before we get into the topics too much, we can go ahead and introduce our lovely host once again, YISKA.
I'm first again.
Yeah, you're first for this time. I'm going to mix it up again.
Oh, shit, dude.
And VULTCHA, I want to give you your fair chance to say hello. So as far as patch notes go, just going to brush through them real fast. Nothing too huge besides the couple of days that 76 was removed from the game for one of his skins being invisible, so you weren't able to see him for a while.
It was a camo skin, too, which is funny.
Yeah, hilarious how that actually worked out. But other than that, competitive. So competitive, how they introduced it into the game. As far as the match goes, if it is a 2-point control or a payload, it is a best 2 out of 3. Whereas you get a chance to attack, you get a chance to defend, and if it comes to a tiebreaker, like if you win both, if each team wins one, it's going to be a random control point from any control point map. And then if it is a control point focused map, it is going to be 5 points from, even though he said it in the video, it would be all from the same map. I know that I played last night and it was like, there was like 3 from Lijiang Tower, and then there was also 2 from Nepal. So it can actually be mixed up between the maps when it's best 3 out of 5. Have you guys played much comp?
Yeah, I actually played, I think it's like 7 or 8 games, so not that much. But I think like in terms of casual play, I actually quite like it. I don't know, it feels pretty hypey, this final battle. In terms of comp play, that really shifts the strength of teams in a way, because now everyone has to be good at these King of the Hill maps.
Yeah,
right? You can't dodge them
because they're like the baseline of the entire format.
Yeah, and it really emphasizes the importance of them. Because I feel like, how often do you actually see none of the team, or one team finishing and the other not? Like, that's like it feels like everyone gets to finish the map, or doesn't get to finish the map, like depending on the map. But like those wins where you actually shut down the team and they don't finish, those are blowout games where like a top team is dominating like a mid-tier or low-tier team.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I like it for that yet, but you'll see.
Now, in my opinion, as far as like, watching competitive games, what we see as like the pro teams, I was expecting stopwatch.
Yeah.
But apparently Jeff, not only Jeff, most likely more people on the team, were just like, no, we don't like stopwatch because we like to see the whole map. Which, I guess...
It's not only that. It's also, think about it, stopwatch is not hype at all. Like, in comparison. Okay, so you have the time, even if you had it in the UI, like, how hype is it really when you kind of already can guess that the payload can't make it there in time, for instance?
Yeah, it's just like, all right, we're done. Like in the randomest part of the map.
Yeah.
I guess that's true when you think about it like that. I just took it as, this is what we're watching. This is what people have determined as competitive. So now are we going to see a switch to this type of game mode in tournaments?
Well, the next big tournament is, I think, Fish Sticks tournament.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called. I'm sorry, but and they won't change it for that. They will keep stopwatch because it's too short of a notice. And
well, I mean, just like an evolution, like eventually. Do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty
just
sure
because it's
they
just
will
gonna
try
become the norm.
at least.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, we will see how they like it. I don't think there's a verdict yet from the competitive community how much they like it. Like, the problem is also obviously there were some teams that were like avoiding these King of the Hill maps, like the Plague. Yeah, they were just losing left and right to the dominant teams, and that's why they banned them and would rather play capture point maps, even sometimes, not often, but yeah, they try to get it to the payload maps, but now that's not really possible anymore. You have, like, most of the time you will have this one component, and it's totally random. So it's not even like you can like practice for that one, King of the Hill map that you can then play. But it's like it's a random part of a map that's of any map, right? That will eventually, pop up for you, and you need to just grasp the concept of King of the Hill for your map.
What if they introduced like, so you did the map, and this might be clunky now that I'm thinking about it out loud, but I'm still gonna say it. If you did the map, so you're doing Dorado, and then it's both teams win attack, right? So it goes to the tiebreaker, and they bring up like a UI, they bring up a UI, and you get to ban a few of the control point maps, and then it like rolls a dice, and you get that control point. So at least they can have a decision on, what map they don't like what map they're not good at, or something like that. So it's not a complete just like roll of the die, and they just go, oh, we're bad at, Nepal. Okay, we lose.
I mean, for competitive, that would probably be sweet.
Yeah.
For like competitive, as in tournaments. For actual, like ranked play, dude, I can't. Monkey. Like, there's nothing. Like, if there's a second more to these selection screens, I'm going to pop a vessel. Like, you're already like sitting out more than actually playing the game right now, right? And okay, there has been a blue post addressing this, saying that this will be shortened, but right now, like this voting system, I wonder if it's a little bit too much mumbo jumbo, and if it's not just like learn to play, dude. Like, learn to play King of the Hill. That will maybe we will see that this will be the push that makes King of the Hill the prime, Overwatch competitive mode.
Yeah,
that sense, right?
Okay. So to back up, to reel in a little, did you just have something to say, VULTCHA? I'm sorry.
Yeah. For me, both modes are kind of flawed. They're kind of a flawed solution to kind of a goofy game mode, which is attack defend. For me, stopwatch is the less flawed one. For me, it's pretty hype watching the stream, anyways, of the ticker ticking down and guessing if you're going to make it in time. I could see playing in that mode being pretty hype, watching the timer as you're trying to like push that card as fast as possible. I could see that being pretty hype. I'd like to see them at least try it. I don't like the current iteration too much. It's a very RNG feeling, and it's a lot. It's more menus to like walk through and like wait, as YISKA said.
I have to say, while I do understand the faults of stopwatch, and yes, there are those games that are pretty random. They just end out of a timer. I still do like the fact that, like, if I'm on defense and we just wall up and we stop them from even getting the first point on, like Dorado, where you have to capture the point and then push the payload after that, it's like, okay, all we have to do is capture that first point, and that's it, and then we win.
Yeah,
so it's like, because we did so well on defense, it's going to reward us on attack.
Yeah, it makes the whole match matter with the stopwatch mode, and that I like. It's kind of goofy just to have it binary, win or lose, whoop-de-doo, win or lose, oh, let's go to this place. Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, it could be that you're just completely blowing out the enemy team, like get it into the in the fastest possible time on a payload map, and then you lose the background, but in 2 minutes overtime. So you got 5 minutes better than them, but you were still forced into a sudden death, right? even though your performance has always obviously been better.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but I get the idea why they do it, but it still feels like I don't know.
Okay. And as far as to reel back in, besides the game type, so how they're doing the ranked mode, I'm going to call it instead of competitive because it's a little bit confusing. Ranked mode in the client it's kind of like Hearthstone mixed with a little bit of League of Legends. And what I mean by that is there is tiers, and then there is divisions in those tiers. So I believe the first tier is called Challenger, and as long as you keep winning, you keep getting experience in your first division, and you have to make it through, I want to say 5 divisions, and then once you pass that tier, you'll be in Advanced, and you can no longer drop down past Advanced. You can always drop divisions after Challenger, but you will never drop tiers. And so you go Challenger, Advanced, Expert, Master, and then Heroic. And once you get up to Heroic, it's like in Hearthstone, like Legendary, where once you pass that threshold of I'm one of the best players in my region, then you'll be ranked on a regular type of leaderboard, almost like an MMR and you'll be displayed rather than divisions. So I think it's a cool system. It's gonna have to grow on me. It's a little bit strange, to be honest. But do you guys have any opinions as to like you hate it?
I like it quite a bit. It reminds me of a little bit of the StarCraft tiering system.
Yeah.
But I don't like how you can't rank down out of like you can't go from like platinum to diamond to like platinum or whatever. That sounds a little goofy. Sounds like maybe it's gonna make for many different reasons, a lot of skill gaps within the divisions because people will maybe luck up and then not be able to bad luck down or whatever. I'm not too sure about that, but the rest of it sounds pretty good and sounds real fun.
I like not being able to like completely go like, oh, I lost, 1 game or 2 games and I just got to Master, and then you just like drop down back to Expert and you're just fallen because you're tilted or whatever. There should be a barrier, but I think you're right. I don't think you should just be immune to falling. If you lose 10 games in a row, you obviously lucked into that next tier.
The game Brawlhalla, which I play, has a similar system, and they have it kind of buffered. If you're going to drop down low, you're kind of given a buffer of 2 or 3 games to get your shit back together and get back in. So you're not technically dropping down out of a tier. You're kind of still considered in the tier, but if you lose like 1 or 2 more, you kind of drop. It's not like up, 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 down, down, down. It's like up, 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 down, here a little bit, and then you drop.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good system.
Okay.
I personally, I'm not too concerned by it because it feels like it's an extra reward. Because in general, okay, so like going up within these like different levels, technically there's not really a big difference other than on a semantic level between going like the highest of the one skill group and then leveling up and going into the highest in the lowest of the next. It's still just as big of a gap as it is from 4 to 5, right?
Yeah.
So with this system, you actually have this rewarding feeling of, oh, I made it, dude. Like now I'm secure, and that is my little reward for that
Your
season.
safety net.
Yeah. Also, keep in mind, like the system is already super grindy. Like right now, and that's a valid concern I think that the subreddit has raised is, dude, 1 month is not enough time for this season, right? Like the way you grind up right now, even if you have a ridiculous win rate, it's going to take time to get up there.
Does anybody know if there is a like in Hearthstone how you can get if you win, keep winning, a win streak is what I was looking for.
There is.
There is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, okay,
So,
that's a fine thing, yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, still, the grind is still there, and it's still huge. And
so, what do you think? You think quarterly?
Yeah, that would actually be, and have like more meaningful rewards then, right? So if in Hearthstone you have like a card back every month that you get for achieving legendary,
but that's obviously easier to develop for.
Exactly, but like ramp up the reward for that. Don't just hand out a spray for people that achieve heroic. Hand out a skin. 4 months, that's enough time for you to come up with a skin that rewards people for their, like, make it super basic. I don't know. Make the standard model in golden or something. I don't know. I don't care. But a spray would be super lame or something.
Yeah, for 4 months. But if they're sticking with the 1 month, there's no way they're going to give out a skin every month.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't know. Maybe I just don't like the idea of sprays, or like a I don't know what else is there. Like a profile.
Really coming from Counter-Strike, you don't like sprays?
Nah, I don't know. Like, like there's also not really ones I enjoy a lot. It's mainly to BM in a way, I feel like, and I don't know. It would feel more rewarding if you had like a skin type of thing going on, and obviously the grind issue is still there. I wonder if there's some system that, because in Hearthstone, like when the new season starts, based on the rank you achieved before, you already get some ranks back.
Yeah, you bump up, which is honestly I do like, because it's like, why do I have to grind up through these plebe, tiers? If I get heroic, why don't I start back out at expert, middle of the road?
Exactly.
That's interesting. It unbalances the ladder too that way, and you get really shitty matches both ways when that happens.
Yeah, and I wonder how this system is going to work out with MMR too. If I think it's quite obvious that there's a hidden MMR system behind that system, and so it's not just like you like a pluppy that has 80% but doesn't play that much ranked is in the same game with you, even though he's in the same tier or league as you, right? Yeah. It's quite obvious that there's going to be an MMR system behind that, and I wonder how that's going to be connected to the actual league system, because to think like that, there has been errors in systems before where a super skilled player will obviously be matched against super skilled players, then obviously therefore have a harder time to win more than 50% or 60% of his matches, and then will still stay in scrub tier ranks because it's harder for him to grind up because of the MMR system discrepancy against his, rank that you can see within the system. I wonder how the correlation there works between the two. And if we have this reset system where you get back to a specific level, how significant it will be. Because right now, like, okay, if you don't have a system that resets you to a rank that's closer to your final rank and have 1 month resets, dude, nobody's going to grind that much.
No,
like,
because it's going to be fun at first. Yeah, it's going to be fun at first, but then you're going to be like, oh my god, it takes me 50 games to even get to back where I was even close to, and I got to grind through all these pub players, all these people who pop in and that's another thing, is that it starts off at rank 25 or level 25, which is super easy to get in like a weekend. So while they say, it is, we wanted to make sure that it's something to get up to, but it's also not going to let all the new players in, which is completely bullshit, because I know when I played League and max level 30, that shit took me weeks to get to because I had to learn the game. Whereas this might have not maybe, the complexity as far as like the spells and items and all that bullshit. But after a weekend, if you're a brand new player, you're not really into shooters, do you really think that you're going to be able to just jump in ranked, or do you think it's going to ruin people's games?
There seems to be a disconnect here of philosophy for them. They're saying they don't want to give away rewards to big rewards for ranking up in ladder because it would incentivize, people doing it just to get rewards rather than for the competitive experience. I think Kaplan said that at one point. And then you have this very low barrier of entry where those people can get it anyways. It seems like it doesn't, there's a disconnect there. They
Yeah.
should definitely raise that barrier if that's what they're going for, is actual real competitive, good, healthy matches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've beat competitive to death for now. One of the only other big changes, I think you mentioned VULTCHA before the cast, was the symmetra change. They
Yeah.
halved her shield, so instead of 50, it is now 25, which is kind of like a kick in the knee. I mean, I, I don't know. I like Symmetra's shield because, well, it just kind of buffs everybody on the team, whereas this is now just one or two shots and it's off. It's not even that much of a buffer. It's just like, oh, if they don't miss 1 to 2 more shots, what does it matter?
Well, it raises some characters out of the danger zone, and it does recharge, which is something, it's kind of like a passive heal in that way, kind of, sort of.
The only thing is that it's going to block the four lobies from being one shot by
Exactly.
Widowmaker.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's it.
I mean,
I
in
can't
that
really
sense,
imagine.
yeah, the competitive community has actually been thinking about how big the difference between 50 and 1 would be, even. With 1, you can't one-shot a Tracer, you can't one-shot a Genji, and oh, never mind. I mean, what else is there? Lucio,
Lucio
obviously.
and Zenyatta.
Zenyatta, yeah, and yeah, how big that would be, because 150 seems to be sort of like the sweet spot, but now like the 25. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a Widowmaker with a Mercy actually breaks that now, isn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Isn't that body shot one shot? If I'm not mistaken, like I think body one shot is obviously. Wait, let's. So 150, 30% damage. Yeah, that's breaking it, right?
Yeah,
so
that's 30 damage if it only did 100.
Yeah,
That's 45 extra damage.
yeah.
So that original shield blocked a Mercy Widowmaker. This one now doesn't.
Yeah. So pretty big, right? So
It's not really
I don't know,
something you saw a lot in competitive anyways, Mercy damage boosting a Widowmaker. We have seen more
Yeah,
Widowmaker
but
play
it only
lately, though.
takes one shot. So if they have, someone sitting behind the back lines or something, and Mercy's popping around, she just buffs and she shoots, and then she can go on her way.
Yeah.
It's not like a Pharah where she has to like hug Pharah for a while so that her rockets can do the damage that they need to be done.
yeah, I guess I mean, Widow we don't see that much, and I wonder if we will see him more because of this, but probably not. And I don't know. I think it feels big, actually. Like playing competitive. Also, I think again this binary thinking. I think one kind of overlooks how much little damage you sometimes receive from spam. That actually also ends up mattering. Like I don't know. There's a Junkrat spamming like his grenades, and you just take like 15 damage, and then another 15, and now it is relevant, where it puts you into this binary position again. And for that, I think that scenario is actually much more likely than these one-shot scenarios, and happen much more. And for these scenarios, the shield nerf is actually quite big, where you're not being 100 zeroed almost instantly, but whenever you're fighting over a long enough period of time, also because the shield doesn't heal you as much, in that sense as much anymore, right? So I think it's quite big, and I would love to get some statistics from Blizzard after that, if the win rate actually went down, because as we saw in the interview, like Symmetra is still very good, in terms of win rate. I think her win rate is the highest, if I'm not mistaken. So still, right? So I wonder how this will turn out.
Okay, and one of the other, probably this is going to lead into our next little flavoring. We're not going to beat it to death because the subreddit has probably done it enough. Is they now enabled, you can set for tournaments, most likely, high bandwidth games. So instead of a 20.8, you can now play on a 62.5, which is just how fast the client updates itself. And so if everyone playing in that game has a good connection and latency between each other, it's going to shorten that chance of server mishaps. And they went over the whole, your connection to the server, where the server is showing you, and then you in another person's game, and how the three affect each other. It's obviously a lot more complicated than, paper cups with pharah on it. But do you think that they resolved any issues, or do you think that they just tried to be cutesy and explain it, and then was just like, all right, see you guys?
Sounds to me like when they initially set up the system, they erred on the side of smoothness for across all platforms for many different players. So, for example, in TF2, if you have a very laggy player, they kind of they stick in one spot and then they appear over here and then they appear over here. They wanted to seemingly avoid that visual bullshit that happens, and it seems like they're gonna be kind of toning that down a little bit and being a little bit more aggressive with better, more tight net code, I guess you could say, but that will result in maybe players teleporting, or maybe you having to lead shots.
Yeah, I mean, the most interesting thing I found was in that video was actually when they explained their values, and okay, some of the stuff is obvious, but some of for instance, that they feel like the shooter should, the aggressive part should have the advantage in the sense that whoever shoots should have that happen what is on his screen, right? Mm-hmm. And that makes a lot of sense, I think, and also legitimizes the vast majority of issues we had before with the netcode in that sense. Now, okay, the update rate is up, and I think that's going to actually help the system a lot. I mean, okay, so there's, if I may, there's there was a while ago, there was an interview with Jeff Kaplan, or it was actually in a dev update, where he said they are very excited about updating the servers and people having better pings. Now, if you read between the lines, as a disciple of the church of Jeff Kaplan would do, and read the scripture very carefully of what he said, that is, I think he was saying that is how he addressed the netcode issue. He was saying, okay, you see these huge discrepancies between what you're seeing and what the enemy is seeing because one of you guys has shitty ping. And that's because we don't have an Australian server right now. We don't have, we route you to service where your ping is not optimal. And that's why it's often happening and is exaggerated, the issue, right? Because that's just logical in the system. That they also explained is, if you're playing with an Aussie on American servers and he has 200 ping, it's going to suck for both of you.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, in that sense, I love that they were so open about it. You wouldn't have comments from any other gaming company right now. I feel like they're doing a. I hope this sticks, dude. I hope this is that will, push them really to success in the future, and that just becomes an industry standard, because it's fucking awesome.
I don't know if it'll become an industry standard, but a lot of people, as far as we've discussed the Reddit being ruthless bastards, when they posted that, 17-minute explanation on what's going on with people we've never seen before, and they tried to break it down to explain it like I'm 5 level, a lot of people were happy. A lot of people were like, all right, we're still not okay with it, but thank you, for kind of smoothing out our issues for, the time being. Whether or not that actually solves it, this is what I'm still questioning. Because, besides tournaments, like, who cares? They didn't do anything. The checkbox that you're going to check, it's not going to affect ranked. It's not going to affect pub play. People are still going to miss shots. People are still going to, get hooked around corners and shit like that. Like,
they did say that they're going to make changes going forward, and explained a little bit of the change. That was my main thing that I took away that I was happy to hear, and got value from the video from that. It's funny that this type of video would never come out of any other big gaming company ever. It reminds me a lot of an indie type of dev update, fireside chat
Overwatch
sort of thing.
The Overwatch team, and I don't want to give them too much credit because they're still Blizzard. I still gotta keep an eye on them.
Okay.
But the Overwatch team itself seems like, they're kind of with the community. They're kind of have that indie feel. And Jeff leading, the charge is kind of like, we're willing to chat it up with you guys.
Yeah.
We're willing to be one with the community. And I know, a couple of people. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, YISKA. Jeff Kaplan has posted, or I think he has an update post, or I don't know if it's posted by someone else, but in the Discord.
Not
is that
him
posted by
personally,
somebody else?
Yeah. There's a couple of Blizzard employees in that thing. Most of them are not actually working actively on Overwatch, but some of them are, and I really value that. Even it's the tone there can sometimes be even more ruthless than you would expect, and that they still keep up with it. Also, I mean, we kind of avoided the topic, but the fact that after all this Buttgate bullshit, they're still talking to us, even though they touched the fire, right? Mm-hmm. It's even it almost felt like, okay, we fucked up on PR. Let's do even more of the stuff that could potentially burn us.
They just gotta sweep it under the rug. Everyone's kind of over the whole butt thing, and the funniest part about it is, I think someone posted about it, was that the fact that they changed the pose from that to a ripoff of an old pinup photo kind of just was like, what the fuck was the whole point? Like, why was everyone so mad? They just made it into a sexy imagery of an old pinup photo. But I don't really want to touch on that. That thing's been beat to death anyways.
Does speak volumes to their bravery, though. The fact that they're continuing this discourse. A more conservative company would have just chopped it right
Shut
there.
Up. Yeah,
you're done. Mm-hmm. You're not talking to anybody anymore. We're doing this to official channels only. And yeah, awesome. Good job.
Okay. So that was the netcode, and I'm glad that we covered that real fast. So something, I guess I don't know really how to approach this topic, but I will say as little as possible is,
with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, with a 10-foot pole here. So something that we've been discussing has been kind of brought to mind, especially with competitive coming out and a lot of the teams, doing well and stuff like that, is I want to know where Blizzard stands on things like, cheating and hacks and stuff like that, where with Steam we have back bans and things like that. And I do believe in Counter-Strike they have actually a program. I don't know how well it works, so excuse me if this is a horrible program, but I know they do have it where you can watch people who have been reported and determine as a community whether or not they deserve the ban or whatever. Have you heard of that?
Yes. It's actually called Overwatch, by the way.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's not for high levels of play, right?
Well, no. That's just for people being reported in game.
Exactly. It's actually to the contrary, because there's a lot of pro players receiving these false positives because normal people don't think that's likely that they are actually this good. But yeah, but in general, I think personally, and if you do a little research on the anti-cheat issue and the industry around it and how much money is also to be made, it's quite obvious that an anti-cheat that a company makes, like a development company, so the actual publisher, is not going to solve the issue entirely, or even substantially.
Nothing's bulletproof.
Exactly. It's like, the problem is you have so many obstacles to overcome when you're coding an anti-cheat. Like, it's you need vastly more resources in order to fix, come up with something that catches the cheat. You first have to find out where it is. You have to trace it. Then the system you build to trace it can't impact the performance of your player base, especially in terms of hardware. So it shouldn't cause any huge memory hogs or something. Then you have the issue that they just jump to the next thing, right? So these people see it as
the times. Yeah,
they see it as a challenge and also a quick money grab in many ways. Like, they sell these cheats for, I don't know, $5 or something.
Yeah, bots for WoW and shit like that.
Yeah, and it's a huge issue, and I'm actually advocating that we get some kind of eye test thing where, okay, an Overwatch thing for the casuals and for just a general normal population would be awesome, and but for the pro community, take the same concept but make it much more, have a council of people that are very, very qualified, have years of experience, possibly cheat coders and anti-cheat coders, and pro players without invested interest into getting someone banned. And I think that's vastly superior than having someone blatantly cheat in online qualifiers or something, you being unable to do anything about it unless Blizzard says, either, oh yeah, we found the software, or, dude, that's too obvious, we're not giving you the invite, right?
So you think that this should be everything goes through, and then at a later date the tournament is reviewed if there's a problem, like if a team challenges a ruling or something?
I mean, everyone should be able to file these charges against certain teams, and obviously it should be monitored. Not that competitive teams just spam it to delay this process out of spite or something. But I mean, there is concern for that happening, and I guess we can kind of let the cat out of the bag in that sense. It is happening. It is happening in top tier or top to mid tier NA Overwatch right now, and
you're skirting the line here. Yeah,
it's by saying that that there is top NA Overwatch. Well, what's your issue with that? No, but honestly, we gotta come up with these systems now while our team has not as much to lose right now.
Yep.
Right. Even if IDDQD, which is not the offender, by the way, if IDDQD was to be found out that they were the biggest cheating fucks on the planet, then it wouldn't be as big of an issue in a game of better. You would still it wouldn't absolutely destroy the competitive integrity. Now imagine a team with the same dominance of IDDQD in August or before BlizzCon, where that's done. That ruins your game. It's over. Nobody's going to take your game seriously anymore. It's the same in Counter-Strike. If people actually found legit the hacks for VULTCHA and I guess JW was the other guy in question, that game is done, dude. There's a team that won 3 majors being caught cheating in some way is going to wreck your game.
Absolutely.
But how does that affect LAN play though? If, again, this is a complete example, there's no proof or anything, but if IDDQD wins, 3 lands if lands break out, BlizzCon, something like that, and then they get caught cheating in an online qualifier. How does that affect their LAN play? Because obviously these computers are being monitored. They're not going to pop in a flash drive with a cheat on a fucking LAN.
Maybe.
How does that just destroy their reputation as far as their LAN wins?
Yeah. I mean, you say that they're not going to pop in. Like, from what I've heard yesterday from a reliable source within the CS community, the player on Titan, Kaylee, that was caught cheating with a VAC ban, that player, he's a former player, is quite convinced that he did actually cheat at DreamHack, which they won. Yeah? So
who's monitoring these fucking computers?
And okay, to be fair, that was the incident where when he was banned, the cheat regulations and people actually paid a lot more attention to it. Yeah. From the source statement, though, it's not as consistent as it nearly should be. And I think he made a fair point in saying, like, we're at a point in esports where you can go to your sponsor and say, give me an extra mouse. Yeah, I'm promoting your brand, give me an extra mouse. It doesn't cost you anything in the relative terms. New mouse, new keyboard, no peripherals that could be tampered with in any way. Lock up their accounts. Don't give them access before the game. Okay, they can load in their config. Check the config for every single possible infringement there, and then don't reactively but actively care about your cheats, right? So that's kind of solves the LAN play issue. Yeah. Do they actively?
This has nothing to do with Overwatch, but do they actively scan people's configs?
Well, yeah. The thing is, in CS, the community is very, very aware of what a config looks like, and every pro player is asked for their config. So it's not coming through the config. People have been speculating that it's coming through the Steam Workshop stuff. That's okay, if there was a way for that to be injected in Overwatch, I don't know how that would be possible.
It would have to be a third-party program for Overwatch.
And then that's only probably possible by having an inject in either your mouse or your keyboard that injects into the USB port. But if you give them new ones, there's no way to do it. And I guess the problem is, okay, I can absolutely see that this is not happening online play. But then the eye test comes in where people say, oh, okay, they're playing pretty bullshit online. Oh, they qualified? No, they're doing not anything offline. Well, I mean, probable cause, and if you look at the likeliness of them cheating, I mean, okay, in dubio pro reo and everything, but just ban dude. It's going to benefit the scene.
It's going to benefit the scene, but at the same time, I can't think of there's a legal term that I can't think of.
I think what you mean is in dubio pro reo, which is no.
It's causation does not, or.
Oh, in that case, okay. Yeah, but what I mean is there has to be what do you translate it? I only know it in German.
Yeah, causation does not imply correlation, as if you think that they're only playing online qualifiers and they don't want to play anything offline and they're winning a bunch. That doesn't mean that they're cheating. You know what I mean?
It's still a good reason to look at them.
It can be implied. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely a good reason to inspect them, but not hard evidence.
Yep. And I mean, we are bordering on a level of evidence right now in the community that is almost bulletproof for some of these clips. Now, these teams are still going to compete. They're still going to compete. Okay, but the question is how do we go about this, right? the proof has been submitted to Blizzard. I know that much, right? So now it's sort of in the ballpark for Blizzard to figure out these things. And I personally think, okay, if it has to be done for Blizzard, which I understand is a good thing to do, because Blizzard doesn't have to say anything how they found out. They could just have an eye test team too, right? If they don't have the resources or the possibility of the reasons I described before to get an AC working that detects these cheating players, but it's obviously the case that they are cheating, just don't tell the community why you banned them, but ban them. And now you're the authority in your own game, and there's no problem there, right?
You're saying as far as like competitive clips go, so like instead of like the competitive scene being like you can't compete anymore, just leave it up to Blizzard.
Yes, because it's always going to cause much more controversy for tournament organizers to go out on a limb, possibly threatening their reputation. Than
if you're like X team, you can't play at my tournament because you guys are cheaters. Then everyone's going to be like, all right, we're going to go somewhere else. And we're going to bring our whole team and all of our fans with us. Whereas if Blizzard says you guys are banned from competing in any Blizzard-sanctioned tournaments, everyone's going to be like, oh, snap. Like, all right, see you guys later.
Yeah. And they best be setting a precedent soon. Yeah. Like, scare the ever-loving shit out of people with your bans.
Yeah, they're still going to cheat. People...
Give them lifetime, let's say 2-year bans. Give them 2-year bans for competitive play. Just take them out, basically.
They need to do something, because when cheats become like a thing and part of like the public consciousness of a game, it's really damaging. It becomes like a knock-on effect. People start.
It's one of the biggest things in online games. Period. Not even shooters. Is if I log on and I get wrecked with like for no reason by people who are just blatantly cheating, guess what? I'm not playing your game. It's your fault for not controlling your servers.
Well, what happens is
that's it.
People, when they start seeing cheats everywhere, when they're getting owned,
that's also the problem.
That's a problem. And then accusations of legit players who like spend a lot of time and a lot of resources getting good, having their name tarnished. That's bad. What's also bad, this is especially bad, and like what kills a game is when people start saying, I need hacks to compete against the other hacks. When they see the problem as so bad that they need to take the hacks as well if they want to compete. That's when it's done. That's when a game dies and is in the dirt. And it can happen really fast. Like over a week that can happen, that sort of perception problem with hacking. So something that Blizzard can do to stop this is, I've seen like other games do, is they publish a list of banned accounts for hacking. Like a weekly list that just be names flat down. So that communicates to the players, something's being actively done. We're not just sitting on our ass. People are getting banned for stuff. And it also gives the players the ability to see, oh, that person was hacking, or this guy that I think is hacking isn't on the list. There's a question mark in my head now. Also, finally, this is the best part, is it becomes searchable for other games. These hackers, they're typically like very they're not very creative individuals, and they always use the same name. So another game that someone with some name can be traced back to Blizzard as hacking in a blacklist. Yeah, exactly. That should definitely be undertaken by Blizzard. That's like a big thing that a lot of indie games I've seen use, and it's very effective for all those reasons. They should definitely do that. Even if it's like 1,000 people a week, do it.
I like the blacklist idea, but the thing is if you are catching people with hard evidence and you go, okay, they are cheating, even if it's just in a pub game, ban them. Don't give them some stupid slap on the wrist, because all that happens is they go, oh, I'm not going to get banned. I'm just going to, I'm going to not be able to play for 3 hours or something like that. Yeah, guess what? They go back and they play again.
No timeout shares. It's, death sentence. Yeah. That's what it should be.
That's the best thing about the price tag Overwatch has. Like, if you slap them with a permaban, that hurts their wallets. It's
Yeah.
not like in CS where you can go to some fucked up key site, Russian key site, and buy keys for $1 or something, and you just and she just go like, oh, let's buy a bulk, let's buy 100, dude, and let's spinbot every game, you know. So the price tag right now is actually really
That's
helps.
one of the original arguments that we had defending the price tag was it's going to stop hackers and bots and shit like that, as long as Blizzard holds up their end of the bargain and bans them.
Yeah. The eye test thing is definitely needed, though.
Even if it's something like the Overwatch idea from CSGO, and they implement it, and they do a tribunal, if you guys know what that is from League of Legends, which is like community-based. People go in and they view the reports, and they can, for 10 of the currency, to buy skins. If you go review this court and review this report and put your opinion in, you watch the game, see if you think this person is cheating, and they can save it because obviously they can save highlights in the game. So if someone gets reported, they can save the clip somewhere anyways. And, obviously the first couple times you're not going to be viewing high-level reports. You're going to be viewing all the BS that everyone reports people for. But then you work your way up, and if your reports if they match up with the verdict, you can rank up as judge. And then once you get high enough, then you're going to become, kind of this person that's likely to be trusted, and you can deal with higher level reports and things like that.
Something
and
like
it can
that
create like a council.
They don't really have in the game right now a report function. That's kind of a big red flag to me. Unless I missed
Do
it.
they not?
Can you report?
I think there's some way, but I don't know either, to be fair.
I'm pretty sure I have a right-click report on the end of the game screen.
Okay. Can you specify
it doesn't do
for
anything.
hacking,
You can't
for
leave
hacking?
like a comment.
Yeah, I think there's like harassment and then cheats too.
Okay.
But not specific cheats. You cannot say like he has a wall hack or he has, that's not possible.
Okay. It's something I'm kind of worried about Blizzard because this is their first FPS game, and this is something that is kind of like at the core of all FPS games as a problem, and it's a big, nasty problem. And I'm afraid that Blizzard hasn't tackled it yet. And I'm afraid that if they don't, it's just going to blow up in their face really bad.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're kind of at the cusp of it in some ways right now.
Like, if you look at all the other Blizzard games, cheating is also happening, but it's not nearly anywhere near as impactful for the average player as it will be in Overwatch. Because, everyone's getting pissed at these people botting at the absolute top ladder in Diablo 3. Everyone's getting pissed at people like farming there or in World of Warcraft.
Now, a lot of people in WoW, as far as I know people personally who I give shit to because they play PvP, and if you think about it, like a MOBA or even Overwatch, you can jump in and be like, okay, I'm going to play Tracer today, blah, blah. I'm going to play, 76 today. But in WoW, to play at the top level of a warrior, and that's all you got, and then you go, okay, well, what if I want to try out a Warlock today? People will bot all the classes to 100 so they can pop in and out of PvP and play what they want.
Yeah. I mean, that's even sort of understandable, I guess, but yeah. I mean,
it's understandable because the fucking level, but anyways.
Yeah.
It's not
but that's impacting every level of play, right? It's not like the amount of times when you do Overwatch in CS where there's some shitter in obviously low ranks who has the most awful movement and then brings out the aimbot or spinbot is ridiculous. It's affecting all levels of play. Obviously,
what's a spinbot?
Okay, in CS, spinbot is in general a measure to throw off other aimbots. So what the spinbot does is it spins very fast and aim locks, and it just shoots and one-shots everything. But it spins, so as to make it harder for other aimbots to hit the head.
battle bots.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, that's the most blatant way to cheat in CS, but
that's like rage cheaters. Like rage cheaters do that, who don't give a shit about getting caught. There's the rage cheaters, and then there's the the sly guys who just toggle and use little aim assists to try to get by and get an edge.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, another topic is also, what do we do with people that have been caught not like 10 years ago, not like 5 years ago, but last year in another game cheating? How do we treat these people coming into our game? What do we tell them?
Well, I mean, it depends on how they exactly cheated, because if you're saying, okay, just baseline instead of getting super technical about it, if somebody got VAC banned caught cheating in another game in competitive, like if a team from CSGO who are known cheaters come into the Overwatch scene and they're like, all right, we're going to play Overwatch, I'm going to win a bunch of money. If there's documented files of them cheating, no, stop. You're not going to play competitive in our game. That's it. Bottom line. But if it's some guy who got reported, VAC banned solo, that really doesn't affect. I mean, it does affect as far as him coming into our game and trying to cheat, but you can't. You're not gonna be able to police that unless he's obviously documented on a blacklist somewhere.
I think if you're gonna cheat, you're gonna cheat, and you should just not play the game. In my opinion, I'm kind of like more hard nosed about it. But I do recognize that sometimes you can get like bans for like having incorrect files on in your game folder.
Yeah.
You're kind of trying to mess with like some custom skins or something, and you screw up, and then you get a VAC ban. That happens sometimes.
That's what I mean. It has to be well documented.
Yep.
Yeah, I get it's going to be more visible if it's like in a tournament setting instead of like someone's private server, but. I don't know. Even if you're like actively cheating on a private server,
but how do we prove that, right?
Yeah.
Like I can say, like Mumble was an overlay, and it was like, it detected it as a cheat, and I totally did an aimbot, and then the other company is like, well, we can't really ask Valve if that's true, so what are we going to do now, right? If it's within the company, like if someone cheated in WoW, obviously like that's a no-brainer. Don't let him play Overwatch then, right? But if we don't know the exact reasons, I mean, also in that sense, the leagues is also. If I cheat ESL in an ESL league in CS and I want to play Overwatch in the ESL, you can't. You shouldn't be able to, right?
No way.
And I think that's the case actually. But I can tell you. The players in question in NA have active cheat bans in CS.
Really? And they're able to play?
They were semi-pro, were kicked from the league, and they, and they have a history of cheating for 10 years.
I get that, yes, they should be banned for BlizzCon, but are these, NA weeklies, EU weeklies, are they doing research at all, or are they just being like, we need teams to compete? Because if you start kicking out a bunch of people who are cheating, how many people are you going to be left with? It's going to be like the fucking Tour de France where the top 16 people, are all drug users. Yeah. And then you have no fucking race.
Okay, the thing is, I think if we are all honest, like at some point, everyone did like a little fishy bullshit. Like for me, it wasn't as... like I map hacked in Diablo 1 or some bullshit.
I remember I got my account banned in Diablo 2 when I was like 11 years old because I downloaded map hack, and then I was permanently banned from Battle.net. And then I played WoW, and I never cheated again.
I've only ever been banned for being an asshole. I've never been banned for anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, okay, obviously there has to be some factor in there where like people do actually change, and there has to be a reformation belief in that factor, right?
But if you got caught last year playing in ESL and you got banned, and then you're like, oh, guess we can't play Counter-Strike anymore, let's just move on to Overwatch, it's our new upcoming thing, all right, let's just win a bunch of money. No. Why? that should be blacklisted. I wish there was a way for. It's almost like there should be a way to identify these players if they are pro or semi-pro by something else than their gamer tag that they can just change. You know what I mean?
That's
I mean, like,
email.
yeah, in Korea, your social security number is linked to all your internet identities. So if you sign up for a Blizzard account, your social security number is linked to that. And if you cheat, obviously, or for a couple of players in League of Legends that boosted accounts, they get banned on site based on their social security number. So they have to like bomb friends for their number, and then they play on them.
Unfortunately, we're not all Korean, so.
Yeah, I mean,
I think like
would be nice, but
this whole the eyes, like the Council of Eyes, let's call them the Council of Eyes, would like kind of solve this problem of like, do we ban this guy or do we not ban this guy based on the time frame? I mean, you could kind of take it at a case by case basis, be like, this guy is a known cheater, we're gonna watch him, and then that's the end of it. And then if he cheats, you catch it. That would be a good answer to the whole time frame, what type of cheat they did, sort of discussion. Just flag them, person to watch, person of interest.
Here's one.
See.
How about we're able to spectate games so we can actually watch these teams other than watching the caster's point of view? So if there's some teams that are cheating, rather than, dealing with it afterwards a couple days later through VODs or something, we can actually watch actively. We can have a council of eyes watching the tournament as it's being played out.
I mean, I can tell you, this council of eyes was sort of happening. Like the amount of people that submitted clips of this team, like everyone's pissed. Like to the point where I actually had to take a step back and think, okay, everyone's so pissed, it's almost a witch hunting thing. And that's also the scary thing. And we decided not to name the names on this podcast today, because there's still this, uncertainty if it's just really unfortunate clips that could also be part of the replay system, which we also see in the Overwatch issue in CS, that the tick demos, they don't display what's actually happening. And that's also true for playing of the game, by the way. Sometimes you're very far off. And if you compare the actual footage from some streamers, that they're dead on the target and then far off, like there's still this lingering feeling of, dude, like that could also be the case, right? It could also be that the demo just makes it look very fishy. Then again, there's like...
Well, once you get enough evidence of, okay, there has to be something here, we have piles of fishy footage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, there's the quantity argument, and there's some stuff that I find very, very hard to explain, even with the demo justification. Like, VULTCHA so it too has like a... You also have a huge history in like I think you said you used to do this eye test thing for other games, right?
Yeah.
And this one clip I showed you where he locks on within the duration of a second to 4 different targets while missing not more than 1 or 2 shots with the tracer thing, and they are very far apart. So let's say 90-degree angles.
Yeah.
So it's like.
Yep. Like that, like, yeah.
That's very robotic also in how it works, and like I have a very hard time justifying that with demo issues, right? So I don't know, it's like, it sucks that the only hard evidence we have, the only DNA tests, so to speak, are the anti-cheats that actually find the software that is causing these aimbots, right? Otherwise, I mean, it has to be a quantity and a quality argument of these clips. And then we need to figure out how reliable are actually our replay systems.
That's key. That's super duper key, yeah. Figuring out what the discrepancy is between the actual player input and what you're seeing in play of the game or replays or whatever it might be, yeah.
Yeah. I mean... and the problem also is, like the community, like the problem is this witch hunt mentality. What if these guys are actually innocent? And now we supposedly bring this smoking gun to Reddit, and everyone's shitting on them, and it turns out, no, they were actually legit. Like,
Yeah, they'll never live that down.
That can actually destroy careers.
Yeah.
Right. And this is beyond the point. Like, people are getting paid to play this game. Some people are full time in this.
Yeah.
Like, this is beyond just ruining someone's fun. Right.
Oh.
It's like potentially ruining someone's dream.
Yes, but if you cheat, your own fucking fault, bro. Unless
Definitely.
you're false, like, unless you're saying, like a false positive, but
Yep. Yeah.
Even just
you should also be watching your teammates too.
Just even giving the doubt on a player, like, I don't know, maybe this player's a hacker, that follows a player for a very long time, and every single kill is looked at under that light. And
yes.
It's sad because it could really diminish a player's skill. I mean, maybe there is a top player out there, like, rolling around on a shitty team on the and is getting some insane kills, and then gets hack used, I guess, and is not gonna ever break out because he's just got a black mole on his face for the rest of his career there.
Yeah, that's actually the story of most pro players, and the ones that broke through and weren't part of the old boys club. Like, to every talent that came to the forefront in the last 2 years, you will find at least 10 clips of some old boys club member saying, I don't care what anyone says, he cheats. Right? When it's obviously not the case. And to incite these witch hunts is super, super dangerous in that sense. So while Reddit can be a powerful gun that if you point it correctly, just shoots the aggressor by bringing attention to it and then getting the developer involved because it forces the developer involved. What if you point to the wrong guy? Like, I don't know if you guys are into general Reddit, but that they investigated this marathon bombing, and then they got the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? That guy's life is ruined, right? It's disgusting in that way. So
that's why it has to be like a tight knit group rather than being like, here's all the clips, everybody make your own decisions.
The thing is, though, what's going to happen if Blizzard doesn't address this? That gun is going to point at the players very fast. It's going to be, before we know it, bam. Because, I mean, the players are going to feel frustrated, and they're going to be like, what else can I do? Blizzard isn't fixing what I see as a problem, and they're going to point it right at the players. So hopefully Blizzard addresses this in a strong way very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, thinking about this, I actually kind of feel uncomfortable that now talking about this, because now everyone's going to look at these top NMA teams and, okay, let me just make exclusions. It's none of the sponsored teams. Okay? So don't leave them alone. If you're watching this and trying to figure out who it is, it's none of them. Yeah? So that's at least good, I guess.
Are you trying to backpedal a bit now?
No, I'm just not trying to ruin these sponsored players' lives where, like, Siegel is, like, getting called out for being an amazing player and, like, supposedly locking on or something. Like, there was this clip of Temu where he's playing against IDDQD in scrims with his Widowmaker, and there was already this guy that was upvoted to 15 points at one point where he says, like, I don't know, don't take it the wrong way, but I think he's cheating when he obviously wasn't. And yeah, it's I don't know.
Have you seen some CSGO players play Overwatch like Widowmaker? Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Oh.
Yep. There's actually a lot of CS players from the like some of the old iBuyPower guys are playing it. The ones that were banned for match fixing. Then, I mean, a couple of other CS players are also playing it in their off time, which is fair enough. I think it's quite it's quite interesting that they also don't seem to be having like that huge of an impact. Same for Quake, by the way. Like the Quake boys are also not winning too much, even though you would think they would even like rock even more than the CS people. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything you want to end on as far as this cheating goes?
Step your game
don't
up.
Cheat, kids.
Blizzard.
Yeah, don't cheat, kids. And Blizzard, don't be Steam. You need to do it yourselves rather than try to implement some logarithm to do it for you.
Yeah. Or give the community tools to handle it themselves. One or the other.
Yeah. Okay. As far as that goes, guys, I think we're pretty much done for this week. I think, we're going to have plenty of time to grind out some ranked. And what do we got, by the way? We're getting close. What was it? May 24th? Right? Am I wrong?
I don't know. I forget. I'm in
Still
beta.
audit,
I don't
dude.
care.
Oh, yeah, I'm in beta. It is May 24th. Yep. So we're about 3 weeks and a month out. We're about 2 months out. A little under 2 months out. Which is really ridiculous to think of. And beta is in about a month. Open beta. Well, not open, but pre-release beta.
Yep.
Wow. How's Battleborn doing?
I don't know. I don't like
It
it.
actually comes out 3 weeks before Overwatch.
Okay.
Anyways, I haven't seen anything about it. Before we close up, VULTCHA, do you have anything going on? Anything you're working on? Anything you've done recently?
I did a video on animation clipping for reloads. That's about it. I'm going to be trying to get another video out this week of undetermined source. I don't know. One of the things I do want to do is do some science on how like the taunts and the not taunts, but like the verbal commands that come out on the enemy teams, because it seems like you don't hear 3/4 of what comes out for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to figure that out. That'll be a fun one to figure out.
Could you also test the aimbots, the different ones?
No, thank you.
Would be very interesting. Which one would be the best?
Yeah, tell me which one's the best one to buy on the market.
Yeah, I'll give them 5 stars in my recommendation. Yeah, that'd be great.
Nice.
YISKA, you got anything you're working on? Anything you're thinking about working on? Anything you're not working on?
Actually, like, okay, I have something in mind, but
is it better
thing
not to talk about it?
Maybe. No, but I'm actually thinking about now I have my work finally finished. Like, pressure is off, and I'm probably going to sit down on the weekends and get something done and get back on the horse, because it has been a long time since I've created some other type of content other than the podcast. And
you're telling me, man.
Yep. I mean, like, playing is also a lot of fun right now. It's kind of.
But as far as I go, I've been kind of off the horse, as you were saying. I don't know. I don't know if it's just because the game's updating so much, and I kind of want to report on a finished product. But I'm also trying to probably make excuses for myself. But there's definitely some content out there that needs to be created. I don't have anything that I would like to announce. I have things that I want to work on, but I hate talking about something and say it's going to come out, and then it gets shelved for a while, and then gets brought back in a couple months later. So I'm not going to say anything as far as myself goes.
Yep.
I think that's it for this week, guys. It's kind of an awkward ending. I do apologize. I'm a little bit tired. I woke up right before the cast. But from everyone here at Watchpoint, we hope to see you next week. We've been kind of doing 2-week increments just because we're kind of, I don't know, I don't want to stale out the show. I don't want to do too much of the same content over and over and over and over again, just patch notes. I like to spread it out, but I think as we're nearing closer to launch and closer to beta and things like competitive coming out. We're going to have a little bit more juicy content for you guys. So as far as I am saying right now, we will see you next week. And I hope you guys have a good night. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you share this video wherever you can and all the logistics. You know, like this video if you guys liked our cast. Make sure you subscribe because that really does help us out. And have a good night, guys.